Good morning, gang. Happy Cinco de Porto. Yeah, I know. I just had to throw that one in there. It's Monday morning, and I don't know about anybody else, but does it seem like the world has completely flipped over? For another play on words, no, I didn't misspell the title, and no, this isn't a video about flipping of the magnetic poles. So that's another issue we got to worry about, though. That ain't happening in our lifetime either. It's not like that happens immediately. That's something that happens over a long period of time. None of us watching this video will ever be alive when the North Pole is facing south. No, I'm talking more about the flipping of the poles, as in politics, which is pretty important for us to pay attention to because this is happening in our lifetime. I mean, if you go back, and most of us here are old enough to remember at least part of the Cold War era, okay? If not, there's probably people here that can remember the at least post-World War II era. Some people may be able to actually remember the World War II era, okay? I mean, if you're mid-'80s, you were alive during World War II. If you start thinking about those times, okay, and who our allies were during World War II or during the Cold War, and who our enemies were during both those periods, it's literally flipped over. In the last week or so, last few days at least, we've had some major countries have elections, okay? Canada decided to stay with its liberal socialist government. Australia decided to stay with its liberal socialist government. England may be flipping. I mean, there's no question Keir Starmer, the current prime minister, is a uber liberal socialist. And in parliamentary elections here, Nigel Farage's Reform Party took, I think it was 677 out of 1,600 seats that were up. Both the Labour Party, the Liberals, and the Tories, the Conservatives, lost seats. Interesting. But England is still on its liberal socialist path. Interesting. The other three majority-speaking English countries in the world, who have always been our allies, have a completely different view of the world than the United States does. And I say that because we just elected Donald Trump with a mandate, and the majority of the country obviously supported a non-liberal, non-socialist type government. Interesting. But let's look at other countries, okay? Pretty much everybody knows that Hungary is a staunch conservative country at this point. Make Hungary great again. We know Viktor Orban. We also probably have heard plenty about Italy and Giorgia Meloni. Make Italy great again, okay? But did you also know that Slovakia, okay, is a staunch conservative government? Or that Finland has a staunch conservative government? The Netherlands, Croatia, the Czech Republic, Sweden has flipped, Poland. You start looking at these countries and go, let's see. Hungary, former Eastern Bloc country. Italy, our enemy during World War II. Slovakia, part of the former Czechoslovakia, former Eastern Bloc country. Finland, allied with the Nazis in World War II. Croatia, part of Yugoslavia, former Eastern Bloc country. Czech Republic, the other half of the Czechoslovakia, former Eastern Bloc country. Poland, former Eastern Bloc country. Isn't this weird? And then you look at Western Europe, and I don't know, just take France and Germany, for example. I mean, you could add in Austria or any of the other ones. And they're all going fascist, leftist, right? Okay. We are watching a complete flip of the world. I mean, I got a kick out of it reading some financial news yesterday. And there is a analyst from a large Canadian wirehouse who is suggesting everybody, primarily in America, okay, so this is a Canadian giving Americans financial advice. Sorry. Okay. Advising everybody to get out of the U.S. stock market and invest your money in Europe, primarily in healthcare. And I was reading this and I'm going, let me see if I got this straight. Western Europe is trying to go socialist with socialized medicine as much as they can. Look how great socialized medicine's working in Canada. And we should take our money out of the U.S. stock market and put it into and invest in companies where the government is going to control the business entities. And I'm going, you're an idiot. And so I did some research on this guy. This guy has been wrong about everything for as far back as I can go. He makes Jim Cramer look like a good stock picker. Okay, this is how bad this guy is. You know, he's the one who told everybody that, oh my God, a month ago, you know, the stock market's going to crash. Yeah, we dipped. Okay, just FYI, as of Friday's close, stock market's actually 0.3% higher than it was on Liberation Day. Nice call, dude. Okay, you know, sorry, investing isn't 2 weeks long. But that's a sidebar. So you go into all of this and you look and go, what is going on? It's nationalism. And I've said before, and I'll say again, countries should be nationalistic. That's what makes them countries. Germans should be proud to be Germans. Canadians should be proud to be Canadians. Italians should be proud to be Italians. Kenyans should be proud to be Kenyans. I don't care where you're. Chinese, pick something, okay? Every country's population should be make Canada great again, make Italy great again, make Kenya great again, make Somalia great for the first time ever. Right, Ilhan Omar? You want to move back there? Please do. I'll help you buy tickets. Countries should look out for their own first. It's the biggest bitch I have about the U.S. government is that the liberals put every other country first and us, the American citizens, last. I mean, hell, every other citizen from every other country in the world can come here and they take precedence over U.S. citizens. We should have all the TDA or MS-13 people. Who cares if he beat his wife up? Who cares if there's restraining orders against him? Who cares if there were human trafficking charges against him? Who cares if he's an illegal? We need to bring him back, right? This is it. How many times have we all heard, conservatives, okay, that we're fascists, that Donald Trump is a fascist? And I get such a kick out of it because it tells you how little intelligence the liberal sheep have, because they love to throw the word out there, but they have no idea of the definition. Now, I'll give you this. Take a look at this slide. This is the dictionary definition of fascism, divided line by line. A system of government marked by centralization of authority under a dictator. Liberalism. That's exactly what it is. Don't believe me? Gee, who was it who says, I don't need Congress, I have a phone and a pen. I don't need anybody else's input, I'll do what I want. That's what a dictator does, right? Who was it who said, I don't care what the Supreme Court says, I'm going to forgive student loans anyway. That's what a dictator does. Move on to the second one. A capitalist economy subject to stringent government controls. Gee, who would be the party of regulation? Okay. The government's got to control everything. That would be liberalism. Okay. We want health care controlled by the government. Everybody should have free health care, right, Bernie Sanders? Remind me what party Bernie Sanders spent most of his life in before he said, gee, you know what, this isn't working so well, I'll say I'm an independent. Right? No. Liberalism. Next part of the definition. Violent suppression of the opposition. Want to go back to those Tea Party rallies of, 15, 20 years ago? Where after the rallies, the rally goers policed up all their trash and cleaned up wherever they were. That's violence. Or do we want to take a look at who's firebombing Tesla dealerships, keying cars, or walking down the street, beating up people on the street for no reason whatsoever? Do we want to take a look at all the Palestinian protesters at Columbia University? Violent suppression of the opposition? That would be liberalism. Finally, typically a policy of nationalism and racism. This one goes both ways. The nationalism part, that's conservatives. The liberals, they want globalism. Okay? But the racism part, that is, without a doubt, the biggest claim to fame that the Liberal Party, that the Democrats have. They are 100-fold more racist than any conservative I've ever met in my life. The most racist subsector of American society, the most racist ethnic group, the one that screams the loudest. Sorry if you don't want to hear it, but it's true. The black community is the largest racist group in the They're racist against Asians, Hispanics, whites, whatever. Okay? Not a whole lot of racism directed at them, but boy, they're good at directing at everybody else. Sorry if you don't like that. Those are just cold, hard facts. You can go look up the numbers on it, on violence going one way or the other, okay? On, I don't know, comments about reparations or anything like this, right? Racism, racism, racism. It's all they got. And remind me again which political party the black community is aligned with. Liberalism. This is the thing. The world is turning on its ear. The poles are shifting. Imagine how this goes further. With the current cast of clowns that we have in Washington who are still stuck in the 1970s, okay, because hell, the average age in Congress is something like almost 70, thereabouts, 67 or something like that. I mean, hell, you've got some youngsters in there too, but we got other people that are older than dirt. They're still stuck in the Cold War. So this whole Russia-Ukraine thing, oh my God, we can't align with Russia. Russia's our mortal enemy. Not saying Russia's our friend by any means, okay? But you look at the former Eastern Bloc countries who are trying to reestablish their national identity, which is a good thing. Imagine what would happen. I don't say it's going to happen during Trump or Putin, but imagine what would happen if the United States signed an alliance with Russia. How that would set the world on its ear. Because the silly thing is, we have more in common with the Eastern Bloc countries than we do with Western Europe. The Eastern Bloc countries believe Poland is for Poles, or Romania is for Romanians. Yeah, that was the other election. I forgot about that one. Looks like it's going to go toward the nationalistic side, too. That one happened yesterday. Okay. Russia's for Russians. But England or Germany or France, they're not for the English or the Germans or the French. They're for the Muslims. Western Europe will fall. I mean, it's doomed to die soon. Okay? They are going to get taken over. The radical Islamists are publicly saying, we're not here to assimilate, we're here to take over. Poland won't let them in. Russia won't let them in. Slovakia won't let them in. They don't want them. They want to keep the country to themselves. Kind of like the conservative movement in the United States is, we don't want the rest of the wretched refuse, the illegals here. America is for Americans. And we're a little different than the rest of the countries around the world because we have an ethnically diverse population. Most other countries don't, okay? A little bit. That's changed over the last, 5, 6 decades. But America is very diverse. In some ways, it's our strength. In some ways, it's our weakness. Okay? But we are not, the United States, interested in having our country changed. And this is where it gets into prepping. Because the forces that are against us are somewhat powerful. They are certainly vocal. Okay. The media will portray it like the majority of Americans is pro-LGBTQ or pro-Islam or pro-illegal, whatever. And it's not true. And people need to realize this. Never do you turn on the TV and see a news story. 10,000 people crossed the intersection at 1st and Main today, and there was no incident. Never do you see that story. But it'll be the headline when one person was hit by a car today at 1st and Main. And everybody goes, oh my God, 1st and Main is the most dangerous intersection in the world. Right? That's how the news works. It's the same thing with pick something. The Columbia protests, or the firebombing of Tesla dealerships or something. The way the media presents it is that's the way the majority of the country feels. Everybody in the U.S. wants a firebomb a Tesla dealership. No, it's a teeny tiny little portion of the population. But they get all the coverage. You and me, who stay at home, tend our gardens, play with our kids, read our Bibles, do whatever, we're not newsworthy. We're not important. Okay? We're the majority, the massive majority. But it's the teeny tiny little minority here in Europe, wherever, that are the ones that are really the heart and soul of either country, of any country. Hopefully this never happens. But when we have, because we've already seen what happens. You can look at Great Britain. Okay, Great Britain is the poster child for letting your country get taken over. if it ever tries to happen here, and there's been vocal radical Islamists who said that they're going to do it, they're in for a rude awakening. If they try to do it in Poland, if they try to do it in Romania, if they try to do it in Hungary, in Italy, they're in for a rude awakening. Because the first thing about nationalism is you are proud of your country. Oh, which would be another thing that liberals have no concept of. As somebody asked me the other day, it's like, it was a tweet, I think it was one of those, name something, name a, a phrase that a liberal wouldn't understand. And mine was, I pledge allegiance to the flag, yada, 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 right? Very true, okay? No. We'll be ready. If it ever gets to a point where we start having issues like Great Britain does, it ain't going to take long. It'll be finished real quick. And it ain't going to be the outcome that these Islamists think they're going to get. I feel sorry for Michigan. How you ever let that happen to Dearborn, I have no idea. How you ever let it happen to Hamtramck, I have no idea. I know the areas because I lived up there 40 years ago? Okay. The very first thing we're seeing is a flip in the polls. And that's good, because that should be notification to all of these radical minorities that they're not welcome. And we need to keep telling them, you're not welcome. This is our country, whether it's the US or Canada or Australia or England or Germany or Poland or France or Italy or wherever. This is our country. You want your crazy crap? Go do it in your country, because you ain't taking ours. Pinball out.